So in today's video, we're going to take a look at what's going to happen if the entire continent of Europe becomes one country in 2024. And this is never likely to happen, but just for the sake of this video, we're going to do that. Well, on the map, we can see that the European Union is a very huge country, one of the most strongest, if not the strongest, one of the best economy. I guess I could say the best economy. But some countries are not too happy about this union because they lost a lot of land to the European Union. And I'm talking about Russia over here because their more valuable lands are in the western parts, which they lost to the European Union. And they kind of want that back from the European Union. And now they're thinking of forming a coalition against the European Union. Now keep in mind that Turkey also lost to the European Union, Georgia lost some of their parts to the European Union, and Kazakhstan lost all of this to the European Union. So now Russia is like, hey, we're gonna take our lands back from the European Union if you guys form a coalition against the European Union with us. And now we can see that these countries have formed a coalition against the European Union, and for right now Russia has the upper hand on the European Union because the European Union has not mobilized their army, and also because the Russian citizens are still in support of the Russian government. But anyways, we can see that Russia has taken most of their lands back within the first year of invasion. And we can see that Turkey has gotten Istanbul back from the European Union. And we can see that Georgia is also making some smaller gains in their region. Now Kazakhstan is a weaker country, but at this point they're focusing all of their military because they want to help the Russians. And yeah, this is what the war looks like right now. And the Russians are planning to connect with the Georgians and the Turks. So now that operation begins, and Russia is making significant gains in the southern parts, and now they've met up with the Georgians and the Turks, and now there is a successful supply line of military. We can see Turkey now pushing into Thrace, thus taking all of the region back, and we can see that Russia is further pushing into Russia in order to take all of their lands back. And yeah, things are going pretty well for the Russians right now. But unfortunately for the Russians, the Europeans have now mobilized their entire army, and now they're sending the army to the front lines up here and down here. But before the arrival of these troops, Turkey manages to get more and more land from European Union. And we can see that Russia is now strengthening this supply line, and they're also making some significant gains up in the north before the troops finally arrive. And this is what the front line of the war looks like now. But finally, the European troops arrive and they take Istanbul with relative ease. The other half of Istanbul is also taken, and now they're pushing down the western coast of Turkey. In the east, we can see a complete annexation of Georgia by the European troops. And unfortunately for Turkey, they're now cut off from the Russian supply lines, and they're like on their own from now on. And we can see a push into the Russian occupied regions by the European troops. And we can see that the European troops have now encircled a lot of the Russian military, which was up here. And we can see another push into the southern regions of Russia, where they have now reached the border with Kazakhstan. The situation in Turkey is getting from bad to worse. And now the European troops are pushing towards Ankara, which is the capital city of Turkey. These troops ultimately surrender, and now Russia is pushed all the way back to their borders. With the fall of Ankara, Turkey cannot withstand the European troops, so they just go ahead and surrender. And now the European troops are pushing into Kazakhstan, as well as Russia up in the northern parts. Kazakhstan kind of tries to drag themselves out of this war in hopes of them not being completely annexed by the European Union. And now it's only Russia versus Europe. And now with a massive push into the Russian regions and their new capital city, Novosibirsk. I don't know how to pronounce that, but that was their new capital city somewhere around here. With the fall of that city, Russia finally goes ahead and surrenders. Now I know that they won't just surrender like that because it's Russia, but ultimately we know that they cannot stand against the Europeans. So yeah, now it's time to look at a peace negotiation. So yeah, in this peace negotiation, we can see that the Europeans took all of these parts from Turkey, and now Turkey is a vassal state to the European Union. We can also see all of Georgia getting annexed by the European Union. Now Kazakhstan lost all of these parts, and Russia lost all of these parts to the European Union. Also, there is a new pro-Western government in Russia as well as Kazakhstan. Now, you might think that the European Union is done here, but they've got more things to do now. And well, by that I mean they're going to be invading some other countries now. And that country is Egypt. And this is just because they want a hold over the Suez Canal. And yeah, that's it. Nothing much. So now there is a naval landing being made in the northern parts of Egypt, where they successfully cut Egypt into two two parts. The Sinai part surrenders, and now these troops are pushing towards Cairo, which they take within 2 weeks. Now they only have to follow the Nile River, which they do so successfully, and the rest of Egypt just surrenders. But keep in mind that they did not want all of Egypt. They only invaded Egypt because they wanted the Suez Canal. So yeah, let's make a peace treaty here. So yeah, basically they got all of this part from Egypt, and now they can easily trade with all these Asian countries. Now they're not done here. They have 2 more countries to invade, and those 2 countries are geopolitically very strategic locations for the European Union. And these 2 countries are Yemen and Sri Lanka. Now they're invading Yemen because the pirates from Yemen were destroying the European ships. And yeah, within like 2 weeks a naval landing was made. Their capital city Sana'a was taken, and because Yemen is very weak and they're in a civil war, they're slowly getting devastated by the European troops, but finally they go ahead and surrender. Now they're invading Sri Lanka just to contain China and India because these 2 are emerging superpowers. And yeah, just like that, they take Sri Lanka within like 2 weeks or so, and now they have 2 major bases in Asia. And yeah, this is pretty much it. I mean, they could invade more countries in the Mediterranean or maybe in the Americas, but keep in mind that if they invade more countries, it's gonna make them more and more unstable, and they're gonna break into like a million pieces then. So yeah, for right now, they're pretty much okay with whatever they've gotten. And once again, we're gonna divide the entire European Union into regions so that some countries are gonna administer that entire region. And yeah, let's take a look at that. So yeah, if we take a look at this regional map, we can see that all of Iberia is getting administered by Spain. All this part goes to France. This is for the Great Britain. Scandinavia by Sweden. The central government itself by Germany. This one goes to Ukraine. And this is Russia, but a more pro-Western. This part goes to Bulgaria. Yemen, Sri Lanka, and the Suez Canal are administered by the central government. And yeah, that's gonna be it for today's video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, and tell me what you guys want to see in the future. And yeah, thank you for watching.